Awake. How's it going, Luce? You feeling good? Are you excited for the 2-year anniversary? Here we go. We're waking up on the YouTubes. Here it is. All right. We are here. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. And shout out to Anthony, who reminded me that it's our 2-year anniversary today. It is, right? How do you feel, Lucy? You stoked? Lucy's stoked, I think. She's purring right now. I don't know if you can hear it. It's probably not getting picked up in the mic, but she is purring. She is happy. She is stoked. She came to bed late last night, and I was concerned. I was like, why didn't Lucy come to bed yet? My fiance's like, dude, she's probably just chilling, doing her thing. Calm down. I'm like, why didn't Lucy come to bed yet? And she's like, why don't you just go get her? And I'm like, I can't do that, because if she doesn't come to bed, she might be trying to tell us something, like maybe something's wrong. I can't do that. And my fiance's like, dude, you need to chill. And I'm like, I know. And Lucy eventually came to bed. And then my fiance the next morning was like, hey, Lucy woke up in bed. She came to bed. And I was like, I know that because I didn't fall asleep until she came to bed, which is true. I didn't. I was up and then she jumped on the bed, and I think I instantly fell asleep. Oh, Lucy. Anyway, welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Today is our 2-year anniversary. Anthony, thank you for reminding me of that. And it's been a crazy 2 years. The podcast isn't even 2 years old yet, because the podcast started a little while later. I want to say almost a year later, but we'll see. I'll have to look into that because I'm curious. But for 2 years, we've been doing Get Your News On with Ron. A lot's changed. The premise of the show has stayed exactly the same. People tweet me articles. They drop them in our Reddit subsection. That's how we build the show. We get our news on together. But things have been altered a little bit. I kind of look a little bit in advance, because if I don't, it's just kind of too chaotic. And I used to just respond in real time to every chat, and we kind of had to stop doing that, because like there's a natural lull between when I hit the internet and you guys hear it, or see/hear it. So it'd be like I'd be talking, and I'd be like, and I'd ask a question, and then there'd be like no response for a little while, and it's because anyway, you get the idea. So, it would hit you guys later. So there would just be like this awkward moment of silence, pretty much, where I'm like, did anyone have an answer? And then people would start answering all at once, because it would, yeah, you get it. You get it. Lost in transmission, I guess, if you will. So, yeah, this show is had a lot of growing pains, not in a bad way, but, had a lot of growing pains, has evolved, and is going to have a significant step in evolution this year, because we're going to have mini documentaries become part of what we do. And we're hopefully, what I'm really trying for is to have a series where I talk to musicians and artists about 2020 and their thoughts on 2020. That's the other thing I'm really trying to do. So, if you are so able, patreon.com/Ron Placone. I do need some resources to help me get there. So patreon.com/Ron Placone. If you are interested, even $1 a month goes a long way. But thank you guys for keeping this going for 2 years. This is one of those shows where without you, it literally would cease to exist. I couldn't do this by myself. It'd be impossible. The premise of the show would be impossible to fulfill if I was just by myself. It was just me and Lucy by ourselves, because she's a cat. She can't tweet stuff. So it would literally be impossible if it was just me and Lucy. But special thanks to she loves the under the chin thing. You can tell. Special thanks to Joe, my editor, who's pretty much been with me since day one. Joe is the editor with the mostest. Joseph Cicada. Follow him on Twitter. And so 2 years. Here's to many more. Thank you guys for being part of this. Oh, and last quick announcement. Why am I wearing a Bad Religion t-shirt? Because I said, well, A, it's just a t-shirt that I own, that I wear a lot, but also because I saw online today, Bad Religion has an autobiography that's coming out in August. I'm really stoked. Really stoked. Autobiography, August, Bad Religion. So I guess like the entire band wrote it. Like, I don't know. It just said Bad Religion, Autobiography, August. So yeah, I guess maybe it's a group effort. You would think like it would just be Graffin because Greg Graffin's already written a book. But yeah, I guess it's a group project. I'm really stoked for it. All right. So that's exciting. Breaking news. I'm not a big dude for endorsements. I don't really care much about endorsements. But sometimes when groups make an endorsement, it's kind of interesting and noteworthy. And I think this is very noteworthy. When it's individuals, I don't care that much. I don't really get into endorsements myself. If someone asks me who I'm voting for, I'll tell them, but I don't really get into like, I endorse so-and-so, or I have a dual endorsement or whatever. Not really my thing. I just don't care that much about that stuff. But when a group does it, especially when it's a group dedicated to a cause, well, that's a little more noteworthy and worth mentioning. At least that's the way I see it. And Sunrise Movement. What's Sunrise Movement? That's a climate change action group committed to a Green New Deal, committed to a real plan for climate change. And they're mobilizing all across the country. And they're trying to do things in communities. They're trying to do different things across the country to really tackle head on our climate crisis. Well, they made an endorsement, and here's who they endorsed. Check it out. Well, I guess it kind of gives it away because the hashtag is Sunrise for Bernie. This should pretty much come as a surprise to nobody, but let's hear what they have to say.
In the past week, fires have erupted all across Australia, claiming millions of species' lives and killing dozens of people. We are seeing that the climate crisis isn't 30 or 40 or 50 years in the future. It is right now.
Yep.
We need a president in office who understands the immediate threat of that crisis. And Bernie Sanders is that guy.
Boom. Bernie Sanders. They endorse Bernie Sanders. This is not surprising. And I looked at some of the numbers. It was about 76% were Bernie. And then a couple were Warren. And then there were some for, I think, Yang. And there was one other. I think there were a few for Biden, which I don't know. I guess they were just confused. I don't know why they... I don't know how. Biden's going to be the guy who plans on maybe having less gasoline cars on the road by 2040. Let's get on board with that guy. The guy who wants to get climate deniers involved, who talks about how we need to work with Republicans, the people who deny climate change. That's the guy. He'll lead us into the future. The guy who's living in the past will lead us into the future. Biden. So anyway, I don't know why. And Yang, I'm not sure either. Yeah, with $1,000 a month, someone will come up with a solution. That's Yang's plan. If you give people $1,000 a month, one of them, they'll come up with something for climate change. Bernie, on the other hand, what does Bernie have? Bernie has a real Green New Deal. Underline real Green New Deal. Because that's what Bernie has. It's one of the, it's pretty much the most aggressive plan that's front and center, that has, that has that much momentum behind it. It is the most bold and aggressive plan. It incorporates things from Tulsi Gabbard's OFF Act. It has similarities with that, the OFF Act. It has similarities with the original Green New Deal, which was by Jill Stein and the Greens. And it's put forth by the most front and center candidate. And it's great, and it's pretty aggressive. It's a pretty aggressive plan. It calls for it calls for us to completely get off fossil fuel within the next 10 years. It calls for us to, reinvest in infrastructure, to reinvest in a jobs program, and to have these be sustainable green jobs in solar and wind. So it's a pretty extensive plan. And there was a series on The Intercept that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez championed, that kind of emphasizes what exactly it would do. So the Sunrise Movement has made their endorsement. It's for Bernie Sanders. This should surprise nobody. If they would endorse anybody else, my first thought would be that their movement's been co-opted, honestly, because, Liz Warren does not have a real Green New Deal. She just kind of parrots what Bernie says and waters it down. Bernie, on the other hand, has a real Green New Deal, and a Green New Deal that is front and center enough that it's in front of the general populace. So Sunrise Movement endorses Bernie Sanders to the surprise of nobody. But that's a good thing. All right. So speaking of Sanders, we're going to hear from another Sanders now. This is a much different piece of information. So check this out. Here, hold on. It just started on me before I was ready. All right, here we go. We're going to hear from Sarah Sanders. And here's what she has to say on Fox News. I believe this was today, or it might have been yesterday, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Sarah, the president said yesterday the U.S. is ready to embrace peace. He's calling for more economic sanctions on Iran's already struggling economy. He did say that Iran is standing down. So why is the House putting up this resolution to try to limit the president's powers?
I can't think of anything dumber than allowing Congress to take over our foreign policy. They can't seem to manage to get much of anything done. I think the last thing we want to do is push powers into Congress's hands and take them away from the president. Any Democrat that doesn't understand that America is safer now that one of the most dangerous terrorists in the world is rotting in hell is completely naive and completely misses what we need to have in a foreign policy. And the last thing I want to do is see them take power away from President Trump and put it into their own hands. I don't think anything could be worse for America than that.
Okay, let's really think about what she just said. Let's really break down what she just said. And we all know Sarah Sanders is beyond ridiculous. We all know she is just a professionally paid liar. But this is still a major news network in the United States. And she is still, a prominent figure in our politics, obviously. And she basically said, why don't we have a dictatorship? She's like, why would we want to have Congress give any insight to issues of war and peace? Why don't we just have a dictatorship? Let the president do whatever he wants. Give him all the power. Especially this president, Donald Trump. That's what she's saying. And she's also calling somebody who worked for another country, who was on a peace mission, who was also one of the main fighters against ISIS. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect. Of course he wasn't. But you can't just call anyone from an oppositional country a terrorist and then assassinate them when you feel like it. You can't do that. But that's what we did. That's what the United States did. And now she's saying he's a terrorist who's rotting in hell. Just flip the switch a little bit and imagine if somebody said that about our leaders. Imagine if somebody in a different country, imagine someone did that to us, first of all. Imagine somebody went and they assassinated our president or a vice president and described that person as a terrorist rotting in hell. Imagine how the United States government would respond to something like that. Imagine how much that would be plastered on every TV screen 24/7. And there would be this, see, Lucy's bailing. That's how she's like, yeah, I know, man. I can't even. We'd put it everywhere. And there would be some nationalistic call to action. There would be some over-patriotic call to arms. There'd be those United States flags everywhere. We would freak out. And it's not a good thing to do. But that's what we just said about another country. Like, we just said that about another country. And I know on this show, I'm really preaching to the choir. I get that. But we're behaving like a complete authoritarian, imperialistic nation. And we are one. We are one. But here's the thing. They're not even trying to mask it anymore. They're not even. That's why the war machine and the intelligence agencies, that's why they like George W. Bush and Barack Obama better than they like Donald Trump. They don't dislike Donald Trump because he's not willing to do their bidding. He is, and he has. but they dislike him because he lacks any of the subtlety. He and his administration lack any of the subtlety that Barack Obama and George W. Bush had. They were willing to talk polite. All the subtlety is completely gone. If you had any doubt that we are just an empire and we're the bad guy, that should have completely gone away at this point. I mean, here she is on a mainstream news network that has no business being in news. Fox News is not a news network, but it's according to our corporate media, it is. This is the media structure or lack of media structure that we have. And she says this on national TV. Again, if the shoe was on the other foot, if the Iranian government murdered somebody in the USA, and then one of their officials said that this person's a terrorist who's rotting in hell, we'd be going to war like right now. Like we would be going to war right now. We'd be sending troops on the ground. We'd be dropping bombs. We would use that as a cause to go to war right now. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing that. And she's saying, by the way, we are not more safe. The world, this country and the rest of the world is not more safe because of this action. We are way less safe because of it. Iran has already responded. They have already, sent missiles at bases to send a message. They're open to talks of de-escalation, which is a good thing. There's not much good news in this. There is no technically good news, but at least hopefully things won't get worse. But the world is not more safe because of it. The world is significantly less safe because of it. So what she's saying is a complete and utter lie. She's calling for a dictatorship, and she's further prodding a foreign country where we just committed an illegal assassination. Wow. Wow. I mean, we're not the good guys. We're not the good guys. All right. So that's the update there. Now, here's something interesting that Jack shares. Jack shares this, and thank you for sharing this, Jack. You guys know that over in Seattle, there is a city council member named Shama Shuwan, and she's awesome. I'm a big fan of hers. She's an open socialist. She's a member of, I believe, the Socialist Alternative, and she's part of city council. She's a big reason why the Fight for 15 was amplified nationwide, because of her and her action, and then the other members of city council who were with her. You know, she wasn't working alone, but she was a big prominent figure in that. Which, by the way, side PSA, for those of you who want to get involved on the electoral politics level, that's awesome. Please consider local seats. I see so many brilliant people that it would be awesome if they were able to infiltrate our politics, and I'm with them 110%. And I have as many of them as I can on my show to try to help out as much as I can. Not that I'm some huge groundbreaking platform, but I try to help out as much as I can. But everybody always wants to run for Congress and Senate, and that's great. But man, consider consider city council, consider mayor, consider school board. And there's a lot you can do with that. Shama Shuwan is a prime example of that. You have a lot of power on a city council. You really do. Because if you start doing things in your backyard, hey, we have this big information highway known as the internet, where if you're doing something amazing in your backyard, that's going to spread. That idea is going to spread. So anyway, but Amazon didn't like Shama Shuwan very much. Why? Because she also was a big proponent of a tax where some of the biggest corporations housed in Seattle would have had to pay a tax, and it was a very reasonable tax. It wasn't unreasonable at all, and it was a very reasonable tax to help out with homelessness. Almost all of the corporations that would have had to pay this tax were okay with it. Who wasn't okay with it? Amazon. Amazon wasn't. And Jeff Bezos made a big stink about it, and he eventually got what he wanted. he eventually persuaded the mayor and everyone involved to kind of just drop it. I mean, not everyone, but he got enough people on his side that they kind of let it go. So what did he do after that? Well, he put over $1 million, which for him, that's nothing. But in a local campaign, that's a lot of money. For Jeff Bezos, that's like throwing $10 at something. That's like saying, hey, screw you, here's $10 against you. But he put over, I believe it was $1.5 million. He put that into Shamazouan's opponent and to try to get Shamazouan off of the city council. And he failed. It was actually looking kind of bad, but then when they counted the mail-in ballots, she won, and she's still there. So he failed, but something's happening now. Seattle takes aim at Amazon over political spending. So let's see what's going on now. The Seattle City Council is scheduled to vote Monday on new campaign finance restrictions that will prevent companies like Amazon from spending money on city elections. Let's hope this passes, baby. Let's hope this passes. And this is from today, so they're voting this coming Monday. The move comes just months after the tech giant, which is headquartered in Seattle, spent millions trying to oust incumbents who wanted to increase its taxes. Exactly what we just talked about. They spent millions to try to get rid of Shamazouan because she wanted them to pay a tax to help homelessness. The city council committee voted Wednesday to advance a bill that would prohibit corporations from contributing to candidates or political action committees spending on local elections if foreign investors own a substantial stake in those companies. Okay. The legislation passed on a 6-0 vote, making it all but certain that the measure would pass through the full 9-member council. What we are doing here is addressing corruption and the appearance and perception of corruption in our elections, and that is a worthy challenge to take up as a city council, said Lorena Gonzalez, the city council president. All right. So let's hope this passes. And I think, that part about foreign companies, I'm not quite sure like what all that's in reference to. I think this should just go to all corporations in general. Obviously Amazon would be involved in this because they do have, plenty of interest all around the world. But I think any corporation in general, you should ban them from contributing to local elections. Because despite what Mitt Romney will tell you, corporations are not people. So good for Seattle, good for the city council. I sincerely hope this passes on Monday, and the Seattle City Council is a much better place with Shamazouan on it. All right, cool. Thank you for sharing that, Jack. I appreciate it very much. That was a cool story. Joe shares this. So you guys know that municipal broadband and net neutrality is a big part of the mission on this show. That's a big issue that we talk about quite often. And I'm trying to get municipal broadband in my community of Pasadena. What is municipal broadband if you're new to this? Municipal broadband is city-owned internet, where instead of paying AT&T or Comcast for your internet access, you pay a city and a municipality, similar to how you pay for your garbage takeout or you pay for the streets or whatever. It wouldn't be via taxes. You would still have a cable bill. Now, cities across the country have been doing this, and it's been amplified for a number of reasons. One is the loss of net neutrality. Two is the way big cable has price gouged us. So, and a Harvard study has revealed that cities that do this, cities that invest in their own broadband infrastructure, pretty much 100% of the time, and we went through that study more extensively on this show. You can find it in our net neutrality municipal broadband playlist. Cities that have built their own internet infrastructure, pretty much 100% of the time, the city offers better internet at a cheaper price than big cable does. All right. So that's what's going on here. That's this issue. Now, a couple large cities, New York, San Francisco, LA being among them, have some extensive plans for a broadband plan in their city that has some good and bad to it. So let's look at this. This is from Ars Technica, and this looks specifically at New York City's plan. New York City's broadband plan calls for fiber everywhere, with ISPs sharing the network. Okay, so here's the short of it. This guy, John Brockins, writes about these issues a lot. He does some very good analysis in this field. City will invest in network, But here's the not so great news, but success depends heavily on private ISPs. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. That's a red flag. This is a red flag. Okay, so because it basically incorporates, well, let's read on. The New York City government has released an internet master plan that calls for universal broadband throughout the 5 boroughs, relying on open access fiber networks that can be used by multiple ISPs. The plan, announced by Mayor Bill de Blasio and Chief Technology Officer John Paul Farmer yesterday, says New York City will prioritize and optimize open access and neutral host infrastructure, which can be shared by multiple operators to lower costs, increase competition, blah, 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 blah. All right, so here's what the plan actually says. Based on the data and analysis contained in this master plan, the city has determined that universal broadband calls for an open access fiber optic infrastructure built out of nearly every street intersection with an aggregation point in every neighborhood. Leveraging city real estate's assets and public rights of way will allow network operators to extend fiber optic infrastructure from the intersection to, okay. So here's the thing. Now let's get down to this public-private ownership. Like the LA and San Francisco plan, New York wants to rely heavily on private operators, but the city says it would also do much of the investment itself. So here's what the plan says. The city will invite proposals for the coordinated use of public real estate assets through a new universal solicitation for broadband, USB. For the purposes of this master plan, city assets refers to those assets that are owned, operated, or otherwise controlled by the city or available for city use. Private operators will be able to respond with requests from assets from multiple city agencies. The city will prioritize approaches that enable multiple operators to share in the use of an asset. The city will review responses to the USB for feasibility of implementation and potential impact on city resources. The plan estimates building the needed infrastructure would cost $2.1 billion. All right, so here's the problem. Basically, what they're saying is, here's the good news and the bad. So the good news is they're investing in providing broadband for all of the area, especially areas that are currently underserved. That's the good news. And they're going to have public infrastructure of internet access. That's the good news. The bad news is they're inviting these big cable ISPs to the table. Furthermore, now we don't have all the concrete details of funding, but an initial concern here is, so they're basically saying they're going to build internet infrastructure, but a private ISP like an AT&T or a Comcast can participate in that infrastructure and use it. However, they're not paying for it. It looks like the city is paying for it, and then they're going to just entertain proposals from different big cable companies. So why does big cable have the right to charge you, the consumer, for internet when you paid for the internet infrastructure? This is inviting an entity at the table that doesn't belong there. In a way, a way to look at this is basically the public option for healthcare. This is basically where the private insurance companies still get to exist, but we have a public option. That's basically what this is. Is it better than what we have now? Yeah. But does it go as far as we need? No. And they hide under this competition verbiage. Well, there's nothing competitive about building an infrastructure with city dollars, i.e. the taxpayers, you and me, and then allowing big cable to use those resources to price gouge the consumers that paid for it in the first place. That makes zero sense. So that's the bad news here. Now, getting back to the study we did for Harvard, the study Harvard did. I did not do that study for Harvard. Wow, that was a misspeak. I got ahead of myself there. Now, that study that I did for Harvard, that I did by myself, armed with nothing but a cat and a ruler, because I'm a fucking genius. No, I did not. Harvard did the study. We talked about it on the show. Getting back to the Harvard study, now, whenever the city builds internet infrastructure and the ISPs are allowed to still try to get their slice of that market, right? The city always wins. The city always offers better internet at a better price, and the residents catch on. So in a way, maybe this is just a slow burn to knock big cable out. But there are some concerning parts about this. Again, there's some good news because this is better than what we have now. The bad news is, well, it invites these predatory players to the table. Similar to healthcare. It's like, okay, the reason the Affordable Care Act was a concern, it's better than absolutely nothing, but you invite these predators to the table. You include the insurance companies. And to really solve the net neutrality battle, to really solve, to guarantee a free and open internet that is of high quality, we need to take big cable out of the picture. And we need to take the internet back, which, by the way, it should have been in our hands in the first place. You know what developed the internet? A bunch of tax-funded initiatives. We funded the internet. We, the people, funded the internet. And then we allowed big cable to form an organized duopoly to dictate our access to it. That was a mistake. And that's why we're in a lot of trouble with the loss of net neutrality, because these ISPs, they don't want to follow net neutrality rules. Why don't they? Because their first priority isn't giving you access to the internet. Their first priority is price gouging you and making money and screwing you over. That's what their priority is. So if you take it out of the hands of big cable into the hands of the city, well, then you're going to have the internet. The entire city's going to use it. So they're going to have net neutrality written into the charters. And they're going to have the best, they're going to give you the best connection possible because everyone wants great internet. I promise you, there is not one mayor in this country that doesn't want their porn to load as fast as possible. When they got to get something quick done before a meeting, you kidding me? Come on. Let's be real here. I'm just being pragmatic. So there you go. I mean, there's some good news and bad. It's good news that this is being talked about. It's good news that there's plans being made. It's bad news that the private ISPs are invited to the table, especially given this model. Now, we don't know all the details of the financing, so I'm not trying to jump to conclusions here. But based on what this article says, where it's like, okay, it's going to be a city-owned asset, meaning the city pays for it, meaning the residents pay for it. But private companies can make bids to then use it. So basically, AT&T or Comcast can charge you for internet from infrastructure that you built. And they can give you shittier internet connection, should they decide to, that's shittier than the infrastructure you already paid for. That's backward, as opposed to your city maintains it, so you pay what you should be paying the city for the upkeep of the infrastructure you invested in. That's why, again, going back to that Harvard study, that's why all these cities, it's cheaper to just pay your city for your internet, and you get better internet. Why? Because they're committed to making a great product for you. That's what they want. They want good internet. And you're paying for the upkeep. You're not paying for a CEO's salary. You're not paying for infrastructure elsewhere because they have a nationwide duopoly. You're not paying for them to contract out everything to third party. You're not paying to make a shareholder happy. You're paying your city for a city-provided service. And that's why municipal broadband needs to happen all across the country, and it needs to happen in the right way. And this plan, while there are some good components to it, it has a lot of concerns. And hopefully it's nothing more than the city slowly pushes big cable out, but it might not unroll that way. And there's a lot of concerns here. And given the corruption of a Bill de Blasio, those concerns should be very front and center. So it's good that this is being talked about, but a broadband plan that involves the private ISPs, that allows them to further infect and engage in a predatory nature, the infrastructure the city is going to pay for, that is completely backwards and completely corrupt, and it's corporate welfare. That's what it is. It's welfare for big cable. It's giving them an opportunity to price gouge and predatorily make money off of infrastructure that the city paid for, and that is corrupt. And it won't work out as well. All right, so that's kind of what's going on there. Joseph, thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll see this unfold. We'll see this. We'll see what else happens with this as it unfolds. Now, here's a little more tech news. I like Twitter. I enjoy using Twitter. Twitter is my favorite of all the social media platforms. I'm a word guy. I'm not a big picture guy. So Instagram's not really my thing. My fiance, she's a photographer. So she crushes it on Instagram. She doesn't really go on Twitter. Now, Twitter also, Twitter is a good place to exchange ideas and information. It's not a good place to post photos. I still do it. We all do. It's not a horrible place to do it. It's just not the best place to do it. If I post a photo on Instagram, like when I got my Lucy socks, I told you guys about the Lucy socks. When I posted a photo of the Lucy socks on Instagram, it did better than when I posted a picture of it on Twitter. It's just not what Twitter's meant for as much. And Twitter is also meant for engagement. Now, it seems like Twitter is self-sabotaging itself constantly to make its platform worse and to take away all the things that made Twitter great in the first place. And why are they doing this? Well, they're doing it at the behest of big money interest and political interest, it sounds like. Because here's something that they're doing now. Twitter will test reply limiting feature to beat back trolls. Twitter is trying to make it a lot harder for trolls to hijack conversation. The company will start testing a new feature that will allow users to set limits on who can reply to their tweets before they hit send. The feature, which the company plans to test in a limited rollout later this year, marks one of the company's most aggressive efforts to fight trolls and targeted harassment on its platform. So here's what you can do. Let's see here. Why is the picture not loading? Okay. All right. So basically, when you send out a tweet, you have the option to say, oh, okay, here we go. Here's the picture I was looking for. We'll make this bigger. All right. So someone's making a tweet there and they're tagging these people. You see, I like how I'm pointing to it. I'm pointing to my screen. Well, you guys are watching me and I'm pointing to the camera and I'm like, yeah, see, and I'm pointing to the screen. All right, let me just use the mouse like someone who's not an idiot. All right, so this person makes a tweet. They tag these people. Here's what they have the option. Global, this means anyone can respond. Group, which means only your followers can respond. People, only the people you mention, and that's referred to as panel. Or it's a statement, and it's just you. So that's what Twitter is going to start doing. And what was the beauty of Twitter was that you can respond to anybody. You can now, if you incessantly troll someone, they can either mute or block you. So there's already a way to, quote, halt trolls. People can mute, people can block. And, sometimes it's good to be able to do that because some people, they just incessantly troll somebody. They just incessantly try to hijack a thread. And sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm going to mute you or block you. I get it. We've all done it. But why do you need to now completely limit the conversation? Maybe because powerful people, very powerful people, are tired of their threads being hijacked. And they complain to Twitter. Maybe because high-level political operatives are tired of their threads being hijacked. Because the actual pulse of the nation, or at least people who are using Twitter, is not with them. And by the way, Twitter, big place for political engagement. So I love it when people say these things like, Twitter is not real life, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, okay, that you have a point here. But a lot of very politically engaged people are on Twitter. And it is the modern day town square. It is the e-town square. So to kind of just write that off is very elitist and just straight up wrong. To say that Twitter doesn't have any emphasis on public opinion. It certainly does. So does Facebook. So does Instagram. They all do because it's social media and people are engaging in it. And it's supposed to be social. It's social media. And now Twitter is trying to. So this isn't about trolls. This isn't because if you have someone who's just incessantly trolling, someone can mute them or someone can block them. Anybody can do that. And there's people, you disagree with them in the slightest, they block you. There's people who I've never engaged with before who have blocked me on Twitter. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. They must have seen something I tweeted and just didn't like it. So they just blocked me. They're like, I don't want to. And they can do that. Like, that's their choice. I don't know why people do that. But people do it. So this isn't about trolls. This is about allowing powerful people to dictate how their conversation will be seen so that they can influence public opinion in a dishonest way. That's what this is. They want to sway public opinion in a dishonest way. Because look at this tweet. It just got a bunch of likes. Everyone loves it. And, a lot of these news outlets and web blogs and webzines and web news outlets, they take tweets and they show tweets as a way to form commentary. I mean, I've had it happen to me. I've had tweets of mine appear in an article. Oh, we're doing this article about Tomi Lahren and something she tweeted that a bunch of people thought was ridiculous. Here's some of the responses. And I was among those responses. Or, hey, here's the response to this tweet. Well, now really powerful people can have a say as to how their tweet gets responded to. So when those articles are written, their tweet may come across as more favorable than it actually was, because they get to dictate who does and doesn't have a say towards their tweet. So this isn't about trolls, Twitter. This isn't about trolls. This is about giving powerful people what they want and taking away what made Twitter great. So Twitter's self-sabotaging themselves in the name of very, very powerful people. And that's a shame. So, and by the way, Truth to Tweet, which tweets right in the title there, shared that article and shared this one. Guys, you know me, I always like to end the week with something kind of cool and a little bit of good news, which, by the way, if you weren't here earlier in the stream, here's a little bit of good news. Bad Religion has an autobiography coming out in August. I'm so freaking stoked. And by the way, I mentioned that I'm trying to do a series where I interview musicians about 2020. Greg Graffin is on my short list. Really going to try to get Greg Graffin. It might not be an easy get, but I promise you guys I'm going to try. I'm really going to freaking try. So, yeah, if you want to tweet him and encourage him to come on, feel free. If he lets you. He's a cool guy. I think he would. I don't think he's the kind of guy where it's like, I can't wait to censor my Twitter. But anyway, here's some cool freaking news. You guys know that I love bats. I love bats. I think bats are so cool. I don't have a bat as a pet. You can't do that. I think it's illegal. Yeah, you can't have a bat as a pet. So obviously I don't have bats as pets. But I really dig them. I think bats are just really interesting creatures. I like seeing them. There's a bridge in Austin where you can see the bats fly every day. At a certain time, they fly from under this bridge. It's pretty cool. And check this out. This is from the United States. This is from the United States Mint Gov's website. Check out this quarter that's coming up. We're going to get a fruit bat quarter. The reverse tails design depicts a Samoan fruit bat mother hanging in a tree with her pup. Sometimes I forget that you call the baby bats pups. It's interesting. The image evokes the remarkable care and energy that this species puts into their offspring. They're a caring group, the bats, at least to their offspring, apparently. The design is intended to promote awareness to the species' threatened status due to habitat loss and commercial hunting. What? Who hunts bats? Wait, what? Who? Oh, God. Really? Who hunts bats? Who? Well, why? What the hell's wrong with people? First of all, if you're hunting for anything other than food to survive, you're wrong. If you're hunting for any type of sport, you're twisted and sick and demented in the head. If you're hunting for your food supply, that's different. That's survival. But if you're hunting for fun, you're sick. You're a sick person. You're a sick, demented person. Hunting for sport should be illegal. It should be completely illegal. But bats. What do you get out of killing a bat? What do you get out of killing any creature? Again, unless you have to survive. But killing any living creature for fun, you're sick in the head. Beyond sick in the head. But a bat. I mean, a bat. I mean, if you're going after a lion, the lion can fight back. A bat. Like, what the hell? Ugh. What is the purpose of hunting a bat? What is the purpose of hunting a bat? I mean, these people who hunt lions, which is again, is just as evil. I'm not saying that like, oh, if it's a lion, that's different. It's not different. But I mean, I get the point that they're so bored in their life that they want to have a picture with a majestic animal that they killed for no reason. Which most people see those photos and say, you're a demented, twisted fuck. And you're evil because you are. But there's some people who are also twisted, demented, evil fucks who say, wow, way to go. But you're getting a great photo op with a dead bat? I mean, what the hell? Like, it's like I can't even fathom what is remotely in somebody's head. This was supposed to be a feel-good story. Because there's cool-looking quarters I might collect later. But people are hunting. Here's an idea. Instead of putting it on a quarter, make it illegal to hunt these things. Damn it. All right, so anyway, the National Park of American Samoa is the only park in the United States that is the home to the Samoan fruit bat. This is supposed to be a feel-good story, but I don't know if you heard, humanity is fucked. I don't know if you got the news. What the hell's wrong with? Ugh. All right. Well, there goes that. I mean, I'm still excited about these quarters. I'm going to collect them. I'm excited about that. Why can we not make hunting for sport completely illegal? Why is that not just completely illegal? Why can we not? I mean, the one thing Democrats and Republicans were able to agree on, other than war, was that they made an animal cruelty law. Which, by the way, it was sad that the thing that they passed, it was sad that wasn't a law already. It was basically like, hey, if you torture and kill an animal, you can't do that. Why can't we just go a step further and be like, you can't hunt for sport. You can't do that. You can't kill an animal for fun. If you're not killing an animal for food, for your food, you can't do it. You can't. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? There's no reason. Wow. Makes me so mad that people do that. That's a really sick thing. All right. Guys, tour dates, I got them. Come see a show where no animals will be harmed. In fact, if anything, animals get pet. Sometimes people bring their support animals to a show, and I will pet that support animal if I'm given permission to do so. I don't pet people's pets unless I have permission. I know everyone's different about that, but I feel like that's important. I used to be a dog walker. That was something I used to do when I had to do it to make ends meet. And I actually miss some of my dogs a lot. Sometimes I'm wondering, is it weird if I email their owner to just say hi and ask how they are? And I always come to the conclusion, yeah, you can't do that. Like, hey, I used to be your pet's dog walker. I miss your dog. How's he doing? But I do. Milo's parents, if somehow you're watching this show, I miss Milo. How's he doing? Does he miss me? Probably not. He's probably forgotten about it. He's got a new dog walker now. I'm really depressing the shit out of myself. This is weird. This is taking a weird turn. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know. Yeah, but I really miss my aunt. I mean, I'm going to go hug my cat a bunch as soon as we're done here. That's a promise. But tour dates, I got them. And if you have a support animal that you want me to pet, by all means, please bring it. January 25th, we're going to be in Santa Clarita, California. That's the district where Cenk Uygur is running. So Cenk Uygur is actually going to say a few words at the top of that show. He's going to talk about his candidacy, what he wants to do in Congress. Should be interesting. Check that show out. February 8th, Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, San Francisco, California. March 12th, Orlando, Florida. March 13th, Tampa, Florida. We just confirmed the dates. Tickets are not available quite yet, Tampa, but we just confirmed Tampa finally. So March 13th, we will be in Tampa. Tickets should be available within the next day or so. March 14th, Miami, Florida. I can't wait to see you again, Miami. April 10th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Before that, April 9th, for all you college folks, I'll be at Concord University. And if you're a college person, and you wanted me to come to your campus, get in touch with me, ronplacone.com. Email me. I am hitting campuses in 2020. The first campus to bring me in, Concord University in West Virginia. April 9th, I'll be there. April 10th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 24th, Seattle, Washington. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. May 14th, Indianapolis. May 15th, Detroit, Michigan. May 16th, Cleveland. Hold tight. Tickets will be available soon. But Indianapolis, Detroit, tickets already on sale. June 19th, Louisville, Kentucky. June 20th, Nashville, Tennessee. June 21st, Atlanta, Georgia. Tickets for those shows are not available yet. Tickets for Louisville are available now. July 11th, Chicago, Illinois. Can't wait to see you. July 12th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tickets available now. And we're going back to the East Coast. We're going back to Minneapolis. Hold tight on those. That's coming later in the year. Tickets will be available real soon. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we're doing mini docs on city-owned internet this year. We're doing mini docs on trying to get city-owned internet in your neighborhood. I'm collaborating with Right Brain Studios on that. But I need more resources to do that because it's going to involve producers. It's going to involve editors. It's going to involve camera folks. It's going to involve all that. So patreon.com/Ron Placone. Even $1 a month goes a long way. And you get all kinds of cool stuff. You get a patrons-only stream once a week. You get dialogues between myself and my cat Lucy before they're illustrated. You get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. Occasionally, free show tickets become available, and I announce when that's the case. You also get my album. You get to download my album in its entirety, and when I make another one, you'll get to download that one too. Pretty cool. Watson, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Watson, thank you again. You know it would be in our hands with a third party in the White House, everything. And endless war, Green New Deal, single parent. Okay. And Watson, you got kicked off Twitter. I'm sorry to hear that. Kate, you reminded me. My friend got an A on her paper. Thank you very much, Kate. I am thrilled to hear that. And YouTube is doing that annoying thing where I can't read the other thing. Watson, you said something else and I can't see it, which is in Connecticut, you're allowed a 2-bat house on your property. Really? That's interesting. But technically that doesn't count as keeping them as pets, right? Like, because it's like you have a house where they can kind of fly in and take the feed. That's not like a pet. That's a little different. And why Connecticut? Do you know? I'd be curious to know. Are there a lot of bats in Connecticut? I'm guessing maybe. But that's interesting. Yeah, birdhouses are cool. I'm all about those. Those are groovy. So that's neat. But Watson, thank you very much for all the Super Chat contributions. Kate, your friend got an A on her paper. I'm thrilled to hear that. Kate emailed me a while back about this paper her friend was writing where they wanted to quote me. And they were like, how should we cite you? And I said, professional asshole is the title I like to go by, but it's an academic paper. I don't know if you want to go that route. So I don't know if they went with professional asshole or if they said something else for me. Kate, let me know. Drop me an email. Let me know the skinny on it. And, if your friend wants, I'd love to read the paper. I'd be honored to read it. Occasionally, I get contacted by academics to give them a quote or to do an interview for a study they're doing. And usually the study's on something like new media or YouTube or comedy, something like that. And every single time I say yes. And every single time I'm like, hey, if you publish something or if you write something, I'd love it if you sent it to me. My dad's a professor. He'd probably dig this stuff. Feel free to send it my way. And thus far, nobody ever has. No, I've done it a handful. No one's ever been like, hey, Ron, here's that thing. So I don't know. Maybe they think I'm not being serious when I say it. But I am. I don't know. I am. So anyway, and Watson, I'm curious to know why Connecticut. But anyway, if you know, let me know. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this. Here's the deal. I will not be on Monday because I will be traveling on Monday. And next week's a little weird. So there's a couple things I can't really announce yet that might be happening next week that might that might mean we don't stream the normal time. But as of right now, no show on Monday because I'll be traveling. But We'll be back on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Of course, the podcast comes out tomorrow wherever you get podcasts. And yeah, that's the drill. And but next week might be a little weird. I will be making announcements on the community section on YouTube, and I will be tweeting out announcements as well. So hold tight there. But as of right now, everything will be normal. We'll be going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just not Monday next week. So I'll be traveling Monday. We haven't had a Monday show yet this year, which is a little bit of a bummer. I love Music Mondays, but, you know, it's been a little topsy-turvy. Lucy had her vet appointment. I'll be traveling, so can't wait for the Monday show to come back. I know New Wave Vader is really stoked to talk to you guys. And speaking of which, today is our 2-year anniversary. Thank you guys so much for helping us make it for 2 years. And it's really awesome. Thank you. This show would not exist without you. It really wouldn't. So thank you for hanging in there for 2 years. And here's to many more years. Here's to many more years. And thank you guys for making this show possible. And, you know, someone wanted to say, and I'm very flattered that this happened, but we have a special guest who wants to say a few words in honor of our 2-year anniversary here. So stay tuned. I'm signing off for now. You know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. I will see you guys Tuesday, unless you hear otherwise in the meantime, but should be Tuesday. I'll be back. But here's a special guest who has a few things to say. Stay tuned. Hello, it's me, Chaos Agent 11. 2 years. That's what they had me come in to celebrate 2 years. I don't know. 2 years is like, you know that in America, a show that only lasts 2 years is considered failure, right? Like that's considered not that like that's considered it failed. So what are we congratulating Ron for today? Hey, way to go. You made it 2 years. If you stop today, it would be failure. Way to go. Maybe eventually you'll make it to a point where if you stop, it won't be failure. 2 years. My socks are older than 2 years old. The socks I have on, older than 2 years. Well, why 2 years? Who cares? Like, what did he really accomplish? What else are we going to pat Ron on the back for? Hey, guys, Ron made himself dinner tonight. Way to go. Good job. He's a hero. Hey guys, Ron took a train to Hollywood unsupervised. He's crushing it. 2 years. Big deal. Who can what? How did this show happen anyway? Hey, I'm going to log on to stream. People are going to tell me what's going on in the world. I'm going to have a handful of radicals all across the country help me know what's going on planet. Then we talk about what's going on planet. This tuning into this show is a surefire way to guarantee you're on a watch list. 2 years it lasted. That's not like that's nothing. 2 years. We're congratulating him for 2 years. Okay, let's have another anniversary tomorrow. It will be 2 years one day. Way to go, Ron. Way to go, Ron. Is Black Cat's asleep on couch, by the way. Black Cat, like, oh, happy anniversary party. Black Cat, other half of show, sleeping. All right, so you know the drill. I guess I'll do this end off. I'll do it his way. Okay, you know the drill. This is Chaos Agent 11. Show will be back on Tuesday apparently because Ron Dude is traveling. So you know the drill. In the meantime, meow says Black Cat, and I say chaos.